I see is that people get so frustrated because they've tried so many things, but it's usually because they go all in, they make all these changes, and they don't work because they don't stick with it. So it's sustainable lifestyle change that's built off what's already in place. It's very pragmatic and very simple. And of course, with a little bit of mindset work thrown in there.
Welcome to the Honor It podcast. I'm Honor Garrett, your host, and we're here to honor all that is good in the world. We delve into inspiring stories that matter to you with top experts, entrepreneurs, creators, innovators, and pro athletes who are making a difference, impacting lives, and creating positive change. My mission is to inspire women to thrive and build a life and legacy they love, no matter what their age. We live life in the game, not on the sidelines. Today, I'm excited to talk with Karen Gombault. She is a certified health and life coach equipped with the knowledge and expertise to guide women through the challenges and triumphs of midlife transformation. What makes Karen's story even more captivating is her unique perspective, having lived in France for the past 30 years and fully embracing the French lifestyle. Karen is also the host of her own podcast called The French Way, WEIGH, where she dives into topics ranging from health and wellness to the intricacies of living abroad. Join us as we explore her journey, her insights into the French way of life, and how she helps women achieve their health and wellness goals. Welcome, Karen. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you, Honor. And thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to this conversation.
This is exciting because I love to travel, and you are, I believe, from the U.S. and now have lived in France for 30 years. So could you share a bit about your background and upbringing in the United States, and then what led you to move to France and how the life there has shaped your perspective on health and wellness?
Like you said, I'm American, originally from Maine. So I grew up in Maine and went to school in Boston. And France has always been my passion. So when people had Tom Cassidy or The Cure on their wall when they were in high school, mine was a map of Paris. And I came over as an exchange student in high school. I came back to study during my undergrad, and then I came back to do my master's. And then I ended up marrying a Frenchman and still live here. So it's been over 30 years now. Originally attracted to France by, I think, just that the culture, and obviously this was a time where, there wasn't internet. And so there was still a mystique of Paris and just the culture and the people. And I think the fashion and the food, like everything just attracted me to Paris and to France. And as you say, I've settled here. I've been living here. I absolutely love it here. And I think in terms of health and wellness, what's amazing about this country is if you look at obesity, there's hardly any obesity. There is some, and it is growing a little bit, but generally hardly any obesity, because I think the relationship to food is actually very healthy. And that's not meant to be a pun. It's food in France isn't good or bad. And they've learned food is such an ingrained part of the culture and an ingrained part of growing up. You make homemade food for your babies, you teach your family to cook. And so I think the health and wellness side is what attracted me. And I think what's so amazing here is the love of food and the fact that, there's nothing is labeled as good and bad. So I think that just maybe as an overall arching kind of beginning, that's definitely part of the health and wellness here.
I love that in your bio, you mentioned that you love a good croissant. So that is very interesting. When you look at people in France, they're not as overweight as they are in the US. Is that because of the ingredients? Because I do know there's so many things that are banned and preservatives and food additives in other countries. And yet, of course, the US says yes to it all. And so do you think that has something to do with it?
Definitely. And the food quality here is excellent. And you are 100% right. There are so many ingredients that you can find in the US that you can't find here. And you just have to compare the labels of a bottle of ketchup or even yogurt. Like if you look at the yogurt here, the only ingredient is milk. And so it's definitely part of the story of why there's such good health here in France.
And then, of course, maybe as well, stress, because I know that when you're stressed, you could be eating the healthiest diet in the world. But if your body is stressed out, you're not absorbing the nutrients as well. So does France have a little more of a laid back approach?
So I think people, especially in the cities, I think I live in Paris and it's a big city like London or New York or LA. So you do have very high levels of stress. But I think where the difference comes in, there's two things. The first one is French people love to go on vacation. That is a very important part of the culture here. So even if you're working very long hours and stress is high, you have these pockets of when you completely decompress. So 3 to 4 weeks in the summer, a week at Christmas, and then everybody will take a week or two in the springtime. So you really have that time to, I want to say, bring those cortisol levels down. And so that's definitely part of it. But during the weekday, I would say it's just as stress if you're living in a city. The other part of that is I think that in France, people are life focused. What I mean by life focused is they're always thinking about what's in the cinema and what are the new books that have come out, and they're planning a trip and they're taking dance lessons and piano lessons and yoga lessons. And so they're focused so much on life and enjoying life to the fullest. And just to give you an example, there's cafes and bars, and you can actually get a cafe and just sit for 2 hours and just talk with either the person that you're with or people around you, because that connection, it's about being there with the people and connecting with them. So I think that joie de vivre and just the life focus, I think is a big part of also why France is healthy, because they're not constantly obsessed about food and weight and every single morsel they're
I
putting
think I
into their
need to,
mouth.
I need to come. It's a question.
Uh,
What or why did you want to be a health coach? What spurred that on for you?
a couple things. The first one is I wanted to stay off medication. I grew up in a family of pharmacists, and not that medication is bad, but I just felt that if you don't need it, you can be proactive with your health. So my first, I would say, reason was for me and myself and to be sure that my health and wellness as I was approaching, so I'm 53, but as I was approaching menopause and after menopause, I love life. I'm super active. I've got 50 million things going on, and I just wanted to age powerfully. So that was the first reason. And the second reason I really started to become a coach is there are so many women who think that life is over at 50. And for me, it's just such a shame because we still have 40 years to live. And that's what I tell all my clients is that make that those 40 years better than the first 40. And so I work mainly with women in the US or outside of France because I also want to be an example of what is possible, that there are other ways of thinking about health and wellness, that this it's not only in the US that has all the answers. And so I wanted to support women as they got older because life is great and it just saddens me to see people who don't have the energy and just don't have the health to do what they want to do.
I really love aging, except for the wrinkles and things like that. But I find it so amazing that the older I've gotten, you just have a better sense of yourself, more confidence. But that isn't the case for everybody our age.
Mm.
And I know that midlife often comes with these unique challenges, especially in health and fitness. And we're gaining weight, we're going through menopause, we have brain fog, all these obstacles that this age group is trying to overcome. How does your coaching address these challenges?
So change is hard. We've got these patterns, we've done things for the same way for years. But I want people to know that it's possible, but you just have to make small changes that actually are manageable for you, manageable for your brain, and that are going to be shifting your focus more towards a even healthier focus. So let me give a couple examples. Water. If you're drinking water, and we all know that we should probably drink more water, every time you have a glass, just instead of having a glass, have a glass and a half. So it's building on habits you already have. For example, people who want to drink less or know you shouldn't drink. I'm fine with drinking. I personally like wine. A lot of my clients like wine. But if you're drinking half a bottle every single night, it's an issue for your sleep, for your weight, etc. So I just try to work with my clients to show that all you have to do is change a little bit and dial down the alcohol consumption. So it's building off habits that are already in place and either slowly increasing or slowly decreasing to make sustainable change. Because I think what I see is that people get so frustrated because they've tried so many things, but it's usually because they go all in, they make all these changes, and they don't work because they don't stick with it. So it's sustainable lifestyle change that's built off what's already in place. That's really, I see is that people get so frustrated because they've tried so many things, but it's usually because they go all in, they make all these changes, and they don't work because they don't stick with it. So it's sustainable lifestyle change that's built off what's already in place. It's very pragmatic and very simple. And of course, with a little bit of mindset work thrown in there.
I do believe that small hinges swing big doors, right? It's those small little steps. And I think you just get more confidence when you see small wins
Mm.
add up. And then before you know it, you've actually changed.
Yeah.
But it was over time. And unfortunately, in this day and age, everybody wants everything today. I want to lose 10 pounds by tomorrow. And really, there's no magic
No.
potion or pill or anything. It really is about lifestyle and how you approach it.
It is. And I think that the other thing that has worked so well for me personally and for my clients is also focusing on who you want to be down the road. And so when I was turning 50, I labeled it my year as best me at 50. And so it was something where as I saw that I was approaching 50, I started making those small changes because I knew when I reached 50 that I wanted to feel great. And it's the same. Now I'm thinking, okay, I'm 53, but I'm going to be 60. What do I want to do at 60? And so it's thinking about your future self and how she would show up today. And it's to give a very basic example. It's, do you run? Yes, I want to be a runner. Then put on your running clothes. And it's just showing up as the person you want to be. Then one day you're just that person and you're out running half a marathon or whatever. So it's that future self and showing up as that person.
Absolutely. And so many people get stuck in their current reality. But I try to tell people your current reality is actually the past. What you're living right now is because of decisions and mindset that you had in the past that put you here today. Like you said, focus on what's your vision for the future. Who do you want to become? And that's so key. And if we could live in the present, be grateful right now and envision and make those small steps you were talking about, that is definitely the key.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that we don't realize too is all of the limiting beliefs that our brain is giving us. And when I was working with a coach at one point in time, I came into the thing saying, I'm going to be 50 and I'm never going to lose this weight. And you can't lose weight midlife. And it's absolutely not true. She says, Karen, I work with so many people who lose weight midlife. And I'm like, really? And when somebody gives you that different perspective and there's a different way of thinking about it, yeah, I've lost weight after menopause. Yeah. And so it happens. You just have to accept that, like you said, it's not overnight, and so there's a little bit of patience, and tweaking, and of course, what works at 50 doesn't work when you're 30, or what works at 30 doesn't work when you're 50, so you have to, try on error.
And it is, you're right, because our brain shuts off. If you say, I can't
Mm.
lose weight, your brain's going to go, okay, you're right. But if
Yep.
you're like, I wonder how, then our brain tries to figure out how can we make that happen? So I know that you two
Mm.
have a podcast called The French Way. I love that. I love the play on words,
Thank
and it explores various aspects of life and health and wellness. Who is your podcast primarily for, and what can the listeners expect to gain when they tune in to you?
It is I would say it's for women in midlife, but I would say relatively wide. So probably starting at 30. So 30, which isn't midlife yet, but anyway, from 30, I would say on up. And there's always a French twist to it. So I actually have a lot of listeners who like France and who are really attracted by France or a European lifestyle. So I share a lot of things that go on here. So there's always some kind of story, either about my French family or my French husband or something, of course, in the French culture. And it's sharing a lot of habits, best practices. I don't want to say that the mindset is different in France than it is in the US. I bring in, I would say, an American mindset into it, but it's really for people who are looking for sustainable habit change, simple, sustainable habit change, and are looking for inspiration that is, from, I would say, curious from another country, that there is another way of doing things. That's usually what people tell me is it's a very fresh perspective.
That's great. So, beyond diet and exercise, like what are some essential elements of your French approach to well being that you believe people can benefit from in all ages and backgrounds?
So I think one of the biggest one is to come back to what I was saying earlier is being life focused. So I strongly suggest it. So in the podcast, but also with the people that I work with, is people are so obsessed with weight and the number on the scale and what they're eating and food and is it good and is it bad? You need to get a life and have something outside of that to focus on. Focus your attention. So take a course, take Italian, learn to play the piano, take a dance class. They're they actually don't realize it until they say, "Oh, it's true that all I'm focusing on is food." And so giving them an objective, and it can be planning a vacation, but something that is forcing them to think about enjoyment that doesn't have to do with food. That would be one of the key things.
That's great. And so, could you share, or do you have any success stories that from your coaching that made a lasting impact on you?
I think that a lot of the women that I work with are older, over 45. And so one of the women that I worked with is, so let's just call her Sylvie, was going out a lot in France. So this happened to be a French client, but she having a lot of people over to socialize, etc. And so we took those habits and those things that she was already doing and just simply tweaked them. So if it's the socializing thing, we have before dinner drinks or we have people over for dinner. So it's just ensuring maybe that there was a healthy option. or not, or adding in just a little bit of walking, seriously, just a mile a day. And so it was just, and she was 65. So changing those small things, and even at 65, she actually lost the last 5 pounds. So that's why I like to work to make things sustainable and easy for clients. And yeah, she's probably, I would say, probably one of my biggest success stories, only because she also came in with a very negative mindset as of, I'm 65, I'm never going to be able to lose.
Oh, that's good. That's
Mm.
As someone who's embraced both American and the French culture, what valuable lessons or practices do you believe we can integrate into our lives to achieve more balance?
That's a good question. So achieving more balance, one, find something that you love. I think that finding something you love is really important. I took up golf 5 years ago. So that is my thing. It is hard and it's challenging to me. But
Does your husband play?
so yes, my husband played. We took it up as a couple
Okay.
when my kids were actually going to be leaving and we were anticipating being empty nesters. So we play together. So in terms of balance, that's one thing. The second thing is some kind of stretching, yoga, meditation, something that I would say calms the nervous system, because I find in the US, a lot of my clients, their cortisol level is just constantly, it's their system is taxed constantly. And so finding something like that. And then my third tip would also be spend some time in nature. I think it's really important, whether it be walking or golfing or sitting on your deck out back, but having the sunlight, the fresh air, just coming back to what you said earlier. To lose weight, you also need to have a nervous system which is calm. And so finding that balance, I think it's about finding things that you love and that are going to calm your nervous system. And you can find those both in the US and France. I do think in the US, I find my clients rushing a lot more, constantly going. And so it's a big effort to sit. It's a big effort to take a cup of coffee and sit outside. And whereas in France, we're going to spend a longer amount of time around the dinner table talking about our day. We're not rushing off to the next thing. So I think that there's just some good practices in terms of, yeah, breathing and relaxation and bringing cortisol levels down. That's what I would say to find balance.
And I think some people don't realize we're meant to spend about 65% of our time outside.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
And when you go out in the morning and you put your feet on the ground in the grass, that is an electrical charge from the earth that actually
Mhm.
helps your whole nervous system. I love how we know what calms us, but science is backing it up too.
Mhm.
So we really can see statistics for those people who think, oh, meditation, and it actually has scientific proof to help you. So I love that because I do have a lot of people that question this calming or taking time out that's going to benefit. And I say, yes, absolutely, it does.
I was just going to say, I think the one thing I find that people have a hard time with is they think that because their mind is racing, even if they're sitting there or they're outside in nature, their mind is still racing. And so they tell me, "Oh, it's not doing me any good," but it still is. The fresh air and the vitamin D, and you get used to managing also all of those thoughts, and eventually it's like yoga. It's like you practice yoga once, it doesn't work. You have to go back and do it a few times to feel the benefits of it. And I think that anything, you have to give it a little time for your body to adjust and accept. And I love the grass. I did not know about that. So
Am I correct in saying that? Did you go to the life coach school? Is that
yeah.
Okay. Is that Brooke Castillo?
Yes,
Okay.
Brooke Castillo's cool.
I love her. I love
She's amazing.
I did not go through that, but she has a great program. So I know that you had the best education. So that's great.
Yeah, so I actually because health and wellness it's been like my passion for years. I was actually a coach, and I don't know if you've heard about this program. It started about 10 years ago in the US, the Faster Way to Fat Loss. I don't know if Amanda Tress. It was when fasting was coming out as the big new thing. She launched a program. So I was an official Faster Way coach for 2 years. And so I worked with French clients and American clients, and I did that in addition to my corporate job. And then I got to the point where my corporate job just wasn't giving me the purpose, I think, that I was looking for in life as I got older. And so I made a very conscious effort to decide to leave and yeah, became certified with the life coach school. And the quality was amazing and the support was amazing. And it was very expensive, but I think worth it. I think there are a lot of other great coaching programs out there, but I had been following her for years. I was familiar with her work. I identified with it, so I didn't even look. Yes, with the model. And so it's not the only one, and I'm sure that there's many great ones out there, but yeah, that was the one that I did and loved every minute of it.
Oh, that's great. I wasn't sure whether to bring it up or not because I'm a big proponent of fasting, especially women
Oh.
who've been through menopause. And just at least intermittent fasting or
Yeah.
every quarter of the year, maybe do a water fast for a couple of days or things like that because it actually heals your body, cleans out all the bad misguided proteins called autophagy, right? I'm sure you
Yep.
know all of that. So do you incorporate any of that into it? Because I know I'm not a deprivation girl, and I'm sure you aren't either,
Mhm.
Fran. But are you able to ever incorporate that for people who really need it?
So I'm a huge fan of fasting. Personally, it has had a huge impact on my health, huge positive impact on my health. And I don't know if her book, if you've read Mindy Pelz's book, Fast Like a Girl, like the best ever. And I think that book is amazing. So I encourage my clients to fast. And if they don't want to, I understand it's not for everybody, but I have them read that book
That's good.
because I think it just explains everything so well. And what's really funny is I used to work with a lot of clients in France, and breakfast is like the thing here. And people will tell you, but I can't give up breakfast. I'm never going to give up breakfast. Karen, you're crazy. And what's funny is that all of the clients that I had from a few years ago, I still see them. And I saw one 10 days ago, and she said, Karen, I still fast after 5 years. And so even in France, people who are very against. It's not as present in France like it is in the US. So people haven't heard about it, et cetera. But I think it just so many health benefits. I'm a huge fan, but I don't force people because again, what works for them, I encourage them to try it. But I think it has, yeah. Oh, we could go on forever because it's
Mindy, I follow the lady who's the OBGYN, wrote the Galveston diet. She talks all about menopause.
Mm.
Yeah, Mindy, I
Mm.
just discovered Mindy about maybe 6 months ago.
I also just discovered her relatively recently, but she has a fantastic YouTube channel. And I would encourage anybody to read her book, even if you're not interested in fasting. All of the hormonal, I think, explanations when it comes to women and aging. And there's just been so much more research around fasting now. She is like a goddess to me.
We could talk forever. I like to end all my podcasts with the same question for every guest. This is the Honor It podcast. So, what or who are you choosing to honor today?
So I am choosing to honor my 2 daughters. I have an engineer and an artist. And yeah, so one of them has her own startup and the other one is an aspiring artist in animation. And they just inspire me every single day because as much as I have given them, now as young ladies, they give back with support and ideas and honest feedback. And so and I think that we need to honor women also. Yeah. So I'm honoring my 2 lovely ladies, Olivia and Mallory.
Oh, that's great. I have an Olivia too. I have
Oh,
three girls and a boy, 22 to 29. So a little range there. But great. I just really appreciate you coming on and thank you so much.
thank you. It's been wonderful. I love your podcast and I would encourage, of course, anybody to listen to all your episodes. So thank you, Honor, so much. And thank you for what you do.
Until next time, everyone, remember we are not promised tomorrow. So be present today. It's a gift and take time to honor it all.